The B-25 Mitchell. More than just a bomber, it was a flying juggernaut, bristling with guns and built to withstand the deadliest missions of World War II. In the unforgiving skies of World War II, few aircraft commanded respect like the B-25 Mitchell. First deployed in 1941, this versatile bomber fought in every major theater, leaving destruction in its wake. Many Allied forces used it for around 4 decades. The B-25 was the most manufactured bomber, with limited models such as the F-10 reconnaissance aircraft, the AT-24 crew trainers, and the United States Marine Corps PBJ-1 patrol bomber. The B-25's terrifying combat legacy focuses on its defining moment, the Doolittle Raid. This daring mission took the fight directly to Japan after Pearl Harbor. This powerful bomber changed the history of gunships. Welcome to Historical Digs, where we uncover secrets from the annals of history. The B-25 Mitchell. In 1939, the U.S. Army Air Corps required a medium bomber capable of carrying a 2,400-pound payload. When North American Aviation crafted the B-25, its early designs were unstable. Engineers reshaped the wings, creating the iconic gull wing design that made the Mitchell uniquely powerful and highly maneuverable. The B-25 entered service in 1941, with the B-25B operational by 1942. NAA produced the B-25 in Inglewood, California, and Kansas City. This marked the first time a company simultaneously produced trainers, bombers, and fighters. From carpet bombing missions to strafing runs, the B-25 Mitchell was a lethal force that shaped the outcome of the war. The bomber could endure extreme damage and remain operational. A B-25C, nicknamed Patches, survived over 300 missions, despite being belly-landed 6 times and sustaining over 400 patched holes. Its airframe became so warped from battle damage that it flew slightly sideways, a testament to Mitchell's resilience. The Doolittle Raid. On April 18, 1942, 16 B-25B bombers launched from the USS Hornet in a daring bombing raid on Tokyo and other Japanese cities. The mission was led by Lieutenant Colonel James H. Doolittle, who had been tasked with overseeing the modification of B-25 bombers to take off from an aircraft carrier. Though the attack caused only limited physical damage, its psychological impact was catastrophic. For the first time, the Japanese homeland felt vulnerable, and the daring raid delivered a significant boost to American morale. In 1980, James Doolittle said in an interview, "It had 3 real purposes. One purpose was to give the folks at home the first good news that we'd had in World War II. It caused the Japanese to question their warlords, and from a tactical point of view, it caused the retention of aircraft in Japan for the defense of the home islands when we had no intention of hitting them again seriously in the near future. These aeroplanes would have been much more effective in the South Pacific, where the war was going on." The raid had far-reaching consequences. It forced Japan to keep 4 fighter groups stationed at home in 1942 and 1943, weakening their defenses in the critical South Pacific. The Doolittle Raid symbolized bold strategy and determination during the war. When the bombers took off from the Hornet in 1942, their pilots navigated uncharted dangers to reach Japanese airspace. Despite being spotted by enemy patrol boats, the crews pressed on, determined to complete their mission. Some members of the crew were captured, others died, and a few made their way toward friendly territory in China, facing dangerous conditions including fuel shortages and Japanese forces. The Doolittle Raid shattered Japan's invincibility and encouraged the United States and its allies. The raid demonstrated that Japan's homeland was vulnerable to attack, forcing them to divert resources to defense and reconsider their strategies. It marked a psychological shift for Americans, a moment when hope and determination replaced despair. The Doolittle Raid cemented the B-25 Mitchell's place in history as not just a warplane, but a symbol of defiance, ingenuity, and unyielding courage. James Doolittle said, "The first lesson is that you can't lose a war if you have command of the air, and you can't win a war if you haven't." The evolution of the B-25 gunship. When the B-25 Mitchell was first designed, it was envisioned as a standard medium bomber capable of precise strikes with modest defensive armament. However, as the war progressed and battle conditions evolved, the B-25's role transformed drastically. The aircraft's well-built airframe and versatility allowed engineers to push its boundaries, adapting it to meet the demands of increasingly brutal and complex combat scenarios. By mid-war, the B-25's transformation from medium bomber to low-altitude gunship reshaped air combat. Its nose was packed with 850 caliber machine guns, while wing-mounted cannons delivered brutal strafing fire. In addition to its machine guns, the Mitchell carried rockets and substantial bomb payloads, making it a formidable attacker against enemy convoys, ships, and ground targets. This combination of firepower and adaptability made the B-25 one of the most lethal aircraft in the skies. These changes allowed the B-25 to deliver devastating strafing runs while withstanding intense enemy fire. Pilots praised its durability, often returning to base with heavy battle damage but still in one piece. Missions across the globe. In the Pacific strategy, the B-25 Mitchell played a crucial role in the island-hopping campaigns against Japan. It was especially effective in disrupting Japanese naval operations and supply lines. A standout tactic was skip bombing, where B-25 crews bounced bombs across the water surface to strike enemy ships at vulnerable points. This technique was devastating during battles such as the Battle of the Bismarck Sea in 1943, where B-25s decimated a convoy of Japanese transports and destroyers, sinking 8 ships and killing over 3,000 troops. The B-25 Mitchell played a crucial role in the Southwest Pacific, where it became a key weapon for the 5th Air Force. It excelled in skip bombing attacks on Japanese ships and parachute-dropped fragmentation bombs on enemy airfields. Its reliability and ease of maintenance in rough field conditions made it a favorite among crews, ensuring its effectiveness in this critical theater of the war. The B-25 Mitchell was equally effective in Europe, but served a different purpose. Its missions targeted German supply lines, infrastructure, and troop movements. One of its primary roles was to destroy enemy railways and convoys, impeding the Axis power's ability to transport troops and equipment to the front lines. During Operation Strangle in 1943, B-25s were instrumental in cutting off German supply routes in Italy. They bombed railway bridges, tunnels, and key transportation hubs, isolating German forces and hastening their retreat. During the Allied invasion of Normandy, B-25s conducted low-altitude bombing runs to destroy German artillery positions and bunkers, clearing the way for the ground troops. Their durability in the face of intense anti-aircraft fire and their ability to carry precision payloads made them invaluable assets in these high-stakes missions. The B-25 Mitchell arrived in Egypt in 1942. The aircraft was pivotal in the Second Battle of El Alamein, targeting Axis airfields and motorized columns to support ground forces. It served throughout the North African Campaign, the invasion of Sicily, and the Italian mainland, excelling in sea sweeps over the Strait of Messina and the Aegean Sea. In Italy, the B-25 shifted to a ground attack role, focusing on disrupting Axis supply lines by bombing roads and railways across Italy, Austria, and the Balkans. With an extended range compared to the A-20 Havoc and A-26 Invader, it could strike deeper into occupied Europe. Notably, 5 bombardment groups with 20 squadrons from the 9th and 12th Air Forces were the only U.S. units to operate the B-25 in Europe, cementing its legacy in the Mediterranean theater. The B-25 Mitchell was more than just an aircraft. It was a game-changing force that helped shape the course of history. From the daring Doolittle Raid to fierce battles across the Pacific and Europe, the B-25 Mitchell proved its worth as a versatile and a formidable warplane. Its ability to adapt to various roles as a bomber, gunship, or ground attacker cemented its place in the Allied victory during World War II. Trusted by pilots for its reliability and feared by enemies for its devastating firepower, the Mitchell remains a symbol of innovation and resilience. The B-25's legacy lives on, not just as a tool of war, but as a testament to courage, ingenuity, and the enduring spirit of aviation. Thank you for joining us in exploring the terrifying gunship B-25 Mitchell. Don't forget to subscribe and come back for more history digs.